Hey YouTube, it's Elizabeth, Finding Elizabeth. Here again, 2 videos. First time I've ever done 2 videos in 1 week. But I wanted to address something I talked about in last week's video, which was that I realized that I had spent, many years of my adult life being in denial about what being super morbidly obese had cost me in my life. I mean, I was the kind of person who, when people would say, oh, somebody's not going to hire me because I'm overweight, I would say, that's bullshit. If you're qualified for the job, they're going to hire you. I've never had a problem getting a job because I was overweight. And people would say things to me about, being, people would say things to me about being judged for overweight that I guess I just didn't choose to believe, which equates to being in denial. And I would say probably, if you asked me, maybe not a year ago, but a couple years ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said it really hasn't had that big of an impact on my life. Well, that is total, complete bullshit. It had a huge toll on my life. And I spent a little time this week trying to look at, what did it cost me, so that I could make a video that I would have to look at if, it so happened that I was going off program or was not staying committed to this weight loss effort. I wanted to remember what it had cost me. And I don't want to dwell on it, because it could get really sad if I really thought about this and the things and opportunities that I've lost as a result of this. But I do think I need to look at it, that it's part of me moving forward. So I came up with this list. I think I probably have to read it because I don't remember all of them. I journaled it a couple of days ago, and I'm sure there are many more. I just said, okay, here's 15 minutes. Put out there all those things you think that it costs you. And so this is maybe my version of, I know a lot of people post videos on the things that they won't miss about being fat. I guess this is my version of that, the things that being super morbidly obese has cost me in my life. Okay. And these aren't in any particular order other than it just kind of came to me. So number 1, my joy of living and excitement about what the future held. I had pretty much given up on the idea of having joy and happiness in my life, which is really sad when I look at it now, because I really feel so happy and hopeful and excited. But that's where I was. Number 2. The ability to be an active participant in so many aspects of my son's life. Having to send him off to do so many things on his own because I just couldn't walk or do it or fit or was embarrassed or whatever. That's the thing that gets me in other people's videos. In Jennifer Bleacher's video where she, her 100-pound loss video where she posted about being able to cuddle with her son. I was able to cuddle with my son, but I remember how tight and cramped it was in the bed, but there were so many things that I wasn't able to do with him, and that I had to send him off to do on his own because I was, predominantly a single parent. And that makes me really sad, and that must have been very lonely for him. And I know he certainly doesn't want to talk about it now or won't say it bothered him, but I know it must have bothered him, and I know that people must have said things to him about my weight, and it sucks that I did that to him. So, okay, number 3. I've had some amazing jobs that have introduced me to incredible people, and I've often held back in truly showing up in some of my career opportunities and with some people because of my weight. It just sort of held me back. I've always been a great number 2, but would never step into the number 1 position. And even though I'm still, very overweight, my confidence and my confidence has just improved a lot. It's not that I've ever been totally not confident, but there's a line between where you're confident facade and where you're truly showing up and knowing it's okay to be there as who you are. And I feel like that's how I'm starting to feel now. Okay. Number 4, opportunities to engage with people and develop or deepen relationships. it's always felt too hard for me to meet up with people or to go to that party or to see that person who was in from out of town and travel to go see you. I would have to really, really like you to do that because that meant seatbelt extenders and possible middle seats and people not wanting to sit next to me. It meant wondering how far the distance was between planes and how much time I would have to get there. And it also meant I just didn't have the energy for squat. With my trainer last week, he gave me a 10-pound medicine ball to hold while I was doing a speed walking thing in between a weight circuit. And it was huge how much that tired me out compared to walking without it. And I was thinking, you know what? I was walking around with 10 of these medicine balls on my body. No wonder I was fucking tired all the time. So I didn't have the energy. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to show up. I didn't have something to wear that looked right. It kept me from experiencing relationships. And even, and people asked me to do stuff all the time. And I just always came up with an excuse, which usually was, oh, I have to work. Oh, I have too much work to do. I always have too much work to do. But now I see that there's a time and a place for that. And that participating in life gives me a lot of pleasure. And doing things with people and seeing people is, relationships are what life is all about. So, what number we want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since my son's father and I split up, I've only had just a handful of relationships. And, they weren't all bad for sure, but they weren't great. And my insecurity about my weight held me back, even with people who were in the, who are, fat admirers who like women that are overweight. I wasn't confident in my body. I didn't feel good about myself. And so that caused me to hold back. This is kind of embarrassing to say, but I'm going to read it because I'm being honest. I said, I've always felt like I was a trophy wife on the inside, but felt that didn't matter in the least as far as I look. So I often took less than I deserved in relationships. I don't know that I'm a trophy wife, but anyway, whatever. I just felt like I had a lot. I knew that I had a lot to offer. I'm independent. I'm smart. I just have a lot of qualities to bring to the table, but I thought that they paled in comparison to my weight. So I haven't put myself out there in many, 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 many years. What else have I missed? I've missed photos and videos of so many moments with so many people who are now grown or passed on. The most recent example of this was actually sort of what started me to say, okay, it's time. If you're going to have surgery, you better do it. Is my stepdaughter got married, I don't know, probably like almost a year and a half ago. And at her wedding, I just so held back from being in any of the photos because I felt like I looked so horrible. And I got the pictures of the ones I did go in, and I did look horrible. But you know what? So what? It is what it is. But I have probably, really honestly, maybe a dozen photos of myself and my son over his whole life because I was so embarrassed to be in the photos. Well, maybe more than a dozen, maybe like 25, but not a lot. So I've also missed out on adventures and new experiences. I'm planning for the first time I've never been to Hawaii, and a friend of mine and I are planning a trip to Hawaii in January. I'm hoping that I'll be at the 150 pounds lost by then, and he grew up there and travels there a lot, so I'm really looking forward to going with him. And I'm excited. I haven't taken a 2-week vacation ever. I've wanted to go to Hawaii forever, and I'm going to do that. So, awesome. A year ago, wouldn't have done that. Wouldn't have even thought about doing it. What else? I've missed out on years and years and years of my life. I mean, because I've worked from home probably for the last 8 years or so. I've holed up. I used to joke with my ex-boyfriend about I'm in the hole, meaning I don't want to get up. I don't want to go out into the world. That's years. When I look back on it, I spent years in that kind of, low-grade depression, not interacting with life, only only as much as I had to. And then I think this is like number 10 or whatever. I've missed out on feeling good in my body and my skin. I mean, it really feels, I'm shocked I'm saying this, but it feels incredible to exercise. Maybe not at the moment, but afterwards, the endorphins and that feeling of accomplishment you get. You know, I live like less than a mile from the beach. Do you know how often I go to the beach? Hardly ever. That's going to change. But just so many things about being outside, hiking, learning how to ski or scuba dive. I mean, my dad knew I wanted to learn how to scuba dive, and so when I was younger and not even that overweight, he set up like private scuba diving lessons for us. And I was just humiliated because it was so hard for me to fit into the suit. I felt like I was so fat compared to everybody else that I didn't finish the course. So I've missed out on a lot of those opportunities. And finally, and I think maybe that this is the biggest one, and it's okay because I can still do it. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. I'm not that old yet. But I missed what being super morbidly obese cost me was the confidence to truly discover who I am and own it. And that's what I'm trying to do now. And I've still got a lot of weight left to lose, but just the impetus that this process has given me to do that is really incredible. So that's it. Those are the things that right off the top of my head being super morbidly obese has cost me. I'd love to hear from you guys if you have thoughts on this, on what, I know not everybody's super morbidly obese, but on what your weight has cost you. I'd love to hear if you want to leave a comment or do a video response. Would love to hear it. All right. Have a great week. Take care, YouTube. Bye-bye.